Did you know that in 1965, two nations went to war over a piece of land often described as heaven on earth? This is the story of the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965, a conflict that forever changed the subcontinent. The roots of this war go back to the partition of British India in 1947. The princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, with its Muslim-majority population but a Hindu ruler, became a point of contention. While its ruler chose to accede to India, this decision was contested by Pakistan, leading to the First Kashmir War in 1947. The resulting ceasefire line, known as the Line of Control, left Kashmir divided. For the next 17 years, a tense and uneasy peace held, but the underlying dispute was never resolved. Both nations built up their militaries, and the stage was set for another, more intense confrontation. By early 1965, tensions were simmering. A small border skirmish in the Rann of Kutch, a desolate salt marsh on the border, was a prelude to the larger conflict. Pakistan, testing India's resolve, initiated this skirmish. While a ceasefire was eventually negotiated, Pakistan's leadership, particularly President Ayub Khan and Foreign Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, felt they had gained the upper hand. They believed India's military was still recovering from its 1962 war with China, and that its leadership was weak following the death of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. This perception led them to believe that a swift, decisive action in Kashmir could succeed. This led to the creation of Operation Gibraltar. The plan was audacious. Pakistan would secretly send thousands of specially trained soldiers, disguised as local Kashmiris, across the line of control. Their mission was to blend in with the population, incite a widespread uprising against Indian rule, and sabotage key infrastructure. Pakistan's leadership was convinced that the Kashmiri people would rise up in support and welcome them as liberators. The operation was launched in early August 1965. However, the plan hit a major snag almost immediately. The people of Kashmir did not rise up as expected. Instead, many of them were wary of the infiltrators and began reporting their presence to the Indian authorities. A local shepherd named Mohammed Din is often credited with providing the crucial first tip-off to the Indian army. With their cover blown, the infiltrators found themselves hunted by Indian security forces. The expected popular rebellion had failed to materialize, and Operation Gibraltar was turning into a disaster. In response to the infiltration, India decided to escalate. Instead of just chasing the infiltrators within Kashmir, the Indian Army launched a counteroffensive. On August 15, Indian forces crossed the ceasefire line and captured key strategic positions, including the vital Hajipir Pass, which was a major infiltration route. This bold move put immense pressure on Pakistan. Not only was their covert operation failing, but they were now losing territory they had held since 1947. The conflict was rapidly spiraling from a covert operation into a full-scale conventional war. Facing a difficult situation in Kashmir, Pakistan decided to open a new front. On September 1, they launched Operation Grand Slam. The objective was to capture the strategic town of Aknur in Jammu. Taking Aknur would cut off the main highway linking India to its forces in Kashmir, effectively trapping them. Pakistan unleashed its powerful armored divisions, equipped with then-modern American Patton tanks. The initial assault was swift and successful, catching the Indian forces off guard. The situation for India looked grim. It was at this critical juncture that the Indian leadership, under Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, made a game-changing decision. Instead of focusing solely on defending Aknur, India decided to expand the war beyond Kashmir. On September 6, Indian forces crossed the international border in the Punjab region and launched a massive three-pronged attack aimed directly at the Pakistani city of Lahore, just a few miles from the border. This move completely surprised Pakistan. They had not anticipated a full-scale attack on their heartland. Suddenly, the defenders of Lahore were in a desperate fight to save their city. This strategic masterstroke relieved the pressure on Aknur, as Pakistan was forced to divert troops and resources from Kashmir to defend Punjab. What followed were some of the largest and most ferocious tank battles since World War II. The plains of Punjab became the arena for a titanic clash of armor. In the Sialkot sector, the Battle of Chawinda became legendary. Over several days, hundreds of Indian and Pakistani tanks clashed in a brutal battle of attrition. India aimed to break through Pakistani lines and cut off their supply routes. Pakistan's armored corps, despite being initially outnumbered in this sector, put up a fierce resistance. The battle saw incredible acts of bravery on both sides. One famous story is that of Indian Lieutenant Colonel Ardeshir Tarapur, who led his Centurion tanks from the front, destroying 60 Pakistani Pathan tanks before he was killed in action. He was posthumously awarded India's highest military honor, the Param Vir Chakra. Similarly, Pakistani soldiers fought with immense courage to defend their homeland. The Battle of Chawinda ultimately ended in a stalemate, with both sides suffering heavy losses but neither achieving a decisive victory. While the tank battles raged on land, the skies above were also a theater of war. The Indian Air Force and the Pakistan Air Force engaged in intense dogfights. Pakistan's F-86 Sabre jets, often flown by highly skilled pilots, initially had an edge. However, the smaller, more agile Indian Fallen Nat fighters, nicknamed Sabre Slayers, proved to be surprisingly effective. The air war was crucial for supporting ground troops, and both air forces flew hundreds of sorties, attacking enemy tanks, convoys, and airfields. The Pakistani Navy launched a successful raid on the Indian port city of Dwarka, but for the most part, the war was fought on land and in the air. After 22 days of intense fighting, both nations were exhausted. They had suffered significant casualties and financial strain. The international community, particularly the United States and the Soviet Union, grew alarmed at the escalating conflict between two major South Asian powers. They worried it could draw in other countries and destabilize the entire region. The United Nations Security Council passed a resolution calling for an unconditional ceasefire. Under immense international pressure, both India and Pakistan agreed to the ceasefire, which came into effect on September 23. Pakistan celebrated Defense of Pakistan Day on September 6, commemorating how it defended Lahore against the Indian advance. India, on the other hand, celebrated the fact that it had not only thwarted Pakistan's attempt to seize Kashmir, but had also taken the fight deep into Pakistani territory. So, who actually won the war? The answer is complex and still debated today. India held more Pakistani territory at the ceasefire, but Pakistan had made some gains in certain sectors. India had successfully repelled the Pakistani plan for Kashmir and demonstrated its military might. Pakistan had successfully defended its major cities like Lahore and Sialkot. From a strategic perspective, Pakistan's primary objective to seize Kashmir through a covert operation and popular uprising had failed completely. India, on the other hand, had managed to defend its territory and push back against aggression. Most neutral observers and military historians conclude that India had a slight edge and was the more successful of the two combatants. In January 1966, the leaders of both countries, Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri of India and President Ayub Khan of Pakistan, met in Tashkent in the Soviet Union for peace talks. They signed the Tashkent Declaration, agreeing to withdraw their forces to the pre-war lines and return to a state of peace. Tragically, Prime Minister Shastri died of a heart attack in Tashkent just hours after signing the agreement. His famous slogan during the war, Hai Jawan, Hai Kisan, which means hail the soldier, hail the farmer, the 1965 war had lasting consequences. It solidified the deep-seated mistrust between India and Pakistan and cemented the Kashmir issue as the central point of their rivalry. The war also led to a significant geopolitical shift. Pakistan, feeling let down by its Western allies like the United States, began to forge a closer strategic relationship with China. The war left a legacy of thousands of soldiers and civilians lost, and an unresolved conflict that would erupt again just 6 years later, in 1971. The 1965 war stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the complex history of the Indian subcontinent. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the 1965 Indo-Pakistani War. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content on history and geopolitics. Let us know in the comments what piece of history you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, stay curious.